Hey everyone, welcome to PunkCast. My name is William Maxwell. I'm a student of Web3 and the owner of Punk 9527. CryptoPunks are 10,000 uniquely generated characters stored permanently on the Ethereum blockchain. No punk is the same. This is a show dedicated to celebrating the punks behind the punk. My hope for this podcast is that we capture the essence of the punk culture, elevate the brand and the individual behind the punk. One last thing. Projects discussed on the show is not financial advice. Crypto and NFTs are a volatile and risky asset class. Please always do your own research. Other than that, let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of PunkCast. Today we've got a gem of an episode, Punk 6283 with 3 Atties, string hair, front beard and rare gold chain. In real life, he's a medical doctor, Olympian and entrepreneur and CEO of jewellery.com. specializing in diamonds. Please welcome the one and only Dr. Diamond to the show. Doc, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for that very warm and flattering introduction. You know, I'm humbled. So excited to be here, excited to chat with you. It's been fun to hang out in various Telegram groups, and it's nice just to talk with you online.
No, likewise. It's not every day that I get to speak to Olympian DGen, so I'm looking forward to unpacking the story.
Got a nice ring to it.
So it might be a little bit self-explanatory, but do you want to just start with a little bit of the name Dr. Diamond, how you came up with that handle?
Sure. And I am fully doc, so I don't mind saying my real name is Dr. Butler. And since I sell diamonds, I changed the back end of it to diamond. So, because I'm a medical doctor and a diamond dealer. And what happened is I actually graduated from business school, started a diamond importing company that then helped pay my medical school tuition. And once I got into medical school, think of all of the clients I had that were doctors. I mean, the business did really well. So that's how I ended up with the name.
That's a really colorful background and history that you've got there. So let's dig into that, man. So where did we start? Like, where did you grow up? How did you get into all of this? Like from medicine to the Olympic side to diamond. So, what was your life before all of that like?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. So, I grew up in a small town in Michigan initially. I mean, I was actually born on the West Coast, moved around a lot because my dad was doing his surgical residency. He was a cardiothoracic surgeon. And he ended up in Michigan, and that's where I kind of spent a lot of my youth in the Midwest. And he was originally from New York City. So, I was there with my dad and my mom, and they were both physicians. And as I was growing up, they wanted me to be a doctor, and I didn't want to be a doctor. In fact, I said, you guys are doctors, I'm going to do something else. So what I ended up doing was going to business school. And then I read an article on the airplane about a diamond guy who was making all this money selling diamonds. I said, you know what? I want to do that too. So I literally wrote a business plan, raised funds. I got rough diamonds, diamond cutters, and I flew wherever I needed to in the world to build the supply chain myself. Keep in mind, this is pre-Blue Nile. So, I got all the funds together, started the diamond company, ended up, using that, rolling that to get myself through medical school. And one important piece of this was the Olympic Games, which you kind of mentioned. So when I was younger, I used to ice skate a lot. I did ice dancing, which was basically ice skating with a partner. And I had a coach who had defected from the then Soviet Union who was training me. And I taught him how to say ketchup and what French fries were. And he taught me how to ice skate, no joke. And it was interesting because he saw me playing hockey and he thought I'd be a good ice dancer. And I was like, I'm not doing that, and keep in mind, I was a young teenager at the time, And then he lined up a few cute girls and says I could pick one. I said, oh, I like this sport. So I ended up skating and I ended up doing really well. And I ended up actually being the youngest male ice dancer to ever compete representing the United States in the Olympic Games. And I was 18 years old at the time. And the reason why I mentioned this after the business school is because going to the Olympics really kind of kicked off the initial snowball of success. In other words, when I applied to the University of Michigan and then to the business school there, which is one of the top 5 ranked, they were excited to have me because of the Olympics. And then when I applied to medical school, the person who interviewed me, Dr. Vivian Chin, she just wanted to talk about the Olympics and also about the business that I had started. And I got funds to raise for several businesses, mostly because people believe in you if you can accomplish something like going to the Olympics. So Olympics and business school, raising funds. And so it's that whole snowball theory where if you can just get a good start and keep pushing, you can kind of make it where you need to go.
What an amazing story. I don't know how you managed to have all this time to do all of that. What an accomplishment. So let me try and get some of the timing right. So you were skating in your teens, made the Olympic team at 18.
Yes.
Then you went into business school and then medical school after that?
Yep, absolutely. And in between business and medical school, I started the diamond company. So yeah, you did really good with the timeline. I didn't go chronological, so I commend you.
No, that's insane, man. Well, what was the Olympics like? That must have been a real amazing experience because I had to look at one of your videos. It was in Japan, right? The one that you participated in.
Yeah, Nagano, Japan, and it was so neat. The United States was wonderful. And prior to this, I had done a circuit of 26 countries where they flew me around the world, and it was nice just to compete all over the world. I mean, I competed in Ukraine. I've been to Ukraine twice. I've been to Germany, I think 18 times. I mean, I've been all over. And one of my final competitions, the Olympic Games, was in Nagano, Japan. And the culture there is just beautiful. You know, I spent a couple nights in Tokyo before Nagano, and it's incredible how respectful they are of their streets, of the people around them, of the public. I was really impressed by their culture. And then during the games itself, during the competition, it's crazy because you're competing, but you're also kind of celebrating everyone else. For instance, you're training really hard for your sport, but then you're running to go see the bobsled guys or the luge guys or the skeleton, or, you know, you name the sport, you know, skiing, snowboarding just debuted in the Olympics when I was there for the first time. So the snowboarders were the coolest people. We would make, snowmen and then have snowball fights with us against, say, Russia. No joke. We were all friends, it was just hang out and just, Wayne Gretzky was sitting next to me in the cafeteria. Wayne Gretzky played in the 98, games, representing the United States in hockey. I got his signature. It's just cool to hang out with people that, are all sharing the same spirit. And what's really nice about it is everyone's friends, even though you're competitors. You come together and you'll shake each other's hand, and it's really a global, I think, display of collegiality.
That's amazing, mate. Did they put you in a Olympic camp where everybody camped together?
Yes, they did. They put you in these. They build these kind of like dorms, if you will, but they're nice little mini apartments. And they have a direct CC TV, where you can see anywhere in the village. Like they have all these special cameras, so you can click around on your TV and see other sports. Like that's totally separate from, like, say, news. The typical sports channels. And you have a wonderful kitchen. You can order food 24/7. They have people who take. It's basically like dorms, but with a 5-star resort service, and it's really cool.
So let me get this right. The reason why you got into ice dancing, is that what you call it?
Yes, ice dancing. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Was to pick up chicks. Was that what I heard correctly?
Well, this is funny. So, yeah, listen, I guess that's a great way to kind of put that. So I guess it's so interesting because I really like playing hockey, and I think my mom was afraid I might lose my teeth or something. So when this Russian coach, he thought I might be talented, and my mom kind of got me into that. I was like, I'm not sure I really want to do that. Then I did notice that I was in my very young teenage years, there were cute girls involved. So I kind of moved from the hockey locker room with the guys to, ice skating with the women. I personally loved it. I thought it was great. So
no, that's what a journey that would have been. And of all things as well, like, were you sort of naturally always gifted with, athletic sort of ability? Like, was it easy and competitive for you to sort of get to that level?
I never consider myself to be the most athletic person or even necessarily the most disciplined. But what I learned about myself is I was a very good competitor. And what I mean by that is a lot of skills that I was not capable of doing that other people could do, but I was very good at being consistent and I was good at keeping my calm under pressure. And it's amazing how a mindset, even though I consider myself to be less talented than a lot of people I beat, you are graded on your performance on that one moment. So, whereas they may have beat me on a lot of times when they weren't nervous or they didn't make mistakes, just because I could kind of keep my cool under a lot of pressure, that helped me kind of excel. So I was good athletically, but I don't consider myself to be better than, say, like most of the people I beat, actually.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah, geez, I'm just trying to imagine as an 18-year-old, you've got it all. You got the brains to get into medical school and start up your own business as well. So talk to us a little bit about your next stint into business school and into the diamond business. How did you go about sort of setting that up, and and what sort of age were you sort of setting this up?
Sure. So yeah, so I went to business school, and at the time, let's see, I think I was 21 when I got into business school, and then I graduated. It was a 2-year business school, kind of the Raw School of Business. It was like a bachelor's in business, where it would kind of took you from the undergrad LS&A college to the business. So it's a whole separate school. But I was young when I did that, and I knew I always wanted to. I'm an entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, I've done over a dozen startups, and a few of them have been successful, but most of them have failed. And I'm just honored that a few of them succeeded, and people always came back, and whether they made money with me or didn't, they're always supportive. And sometimes they'll put in more money, and we'll roll with another business. But I started the diamond business. It was my second business after, this is kind of silly, the dot-com boom and bust had come, and there was all these dot-coms that had lost all their money. And I started picking up stereo equipment and televisions and stuff. And I would tell people, we had WolverineDeals.com. They could go to Best Buy, call me, and I could give them the same TV or stereo for less, because I just picked them up from surplus inventory from all these dot-coms that went bankrupt. And then I rolled that money into buying diamonds and starting a business plan and raising money and taking out a lot of debt on my own. I took out a lot of debt to buy diamonds, and I thought it would be a profitable business. And I had diamonds at a great price, Maxwell, but I didn't have customers in the beginning. So I had all these diamonds, and people were like, "Who's this kid who came out of business school with diamonds? Are these fake diamonds? Are they real?" And I lost money, man, for many, many, many years. Like, it was like 6 years of losing money. I actually thought I was going to be completely bankrupt at one point, because I'm not going to tell you how much credit card debt I took out, but it's about what the floor price of punks are right now, just to fund this
Wow.
business. But this is me in my early 20s, maxing out credit cards for a business idea. So, and the interest rate back then was not too friendly. So that having been said, I started to get a few customers, not a lot, losing money. And I applied to medical school, and I took out medical student loans. And when I got into medical school, I met with the dean, and I said, "Dean, I can sell diamonds to people." The dean's like, "What?" Said, and this is at New York University. So he has a lot of wealthy connections in New York. He had his wife's 60th birthday coming up, and he gave me a shot. He said, "You know what? I want to get her a diamond bracelet. And if you do a good job, I'll tell people about your business." I said, okay, Dean, I'm going to get this done. His name was Dean Rosenfeld. And I sold him a diamond bracelet. And he was so impressed with it, he referred me to other people, who then quickly referred me to other people. And lo and behold, we have a fantastic business built off of a lot of people in New York who gave me a chance. I had friends I had made in New York, 2 friends who probably each referred, I don't know, 30, 40 people to me. And then they referred people to me. And next thing you know, people are calling me instead of the diamond guys and the diamond district. And, I set up a supply chain, and that's a whole nother conversation, but I set up a magnificent supply chain to keep the costs low. We started selling through the internet shortly after Blue Nile did. We had a And it took a while, but 6 years of pain, and now we have a lot of gain. So I hope that wasn't too long of an answer.
No, I mean, we could talk for ages on this too. I'm super fascinated by it. I mean, like I recently purchased an engagement ring, so I'm engaged now, but I consider, I mean, never had any interest in diamonds whatsoever leading up to that point. But
Smart.
I didn't sort of realize there was a huge sort of industry behind it. But no, kudos to you for building that up and persevering with it. And then what about your medical school? It sounded like you were deep into business at this point in time.
Yes.
What made you decide to, make the plunge into medical school and go through that?
Well, it's interesting because both my parents were doctors, and at the time my business wasn't doing very well. So my parents kind of said, okay, maybe son, you should think about something. Just volunteer in the house, just see if you like medicine. Because I had just kind of honestly rejected because my parents both did it, but I'd never given it a shot. Okay. I just wanted to be different. I didn't want to do it because my parents did it. So I started volunteering in the hospital, and I had some magic tricks, and I would play magic tricks card tricks for patients. And sometimes, and I realized that like the patients really liked this, and I liked hanging out with them. So after I graduated business school, I went back to do night courses while I was working on my business as a post-bac, taking science, taking biology and chemistry and physics. And here I am, someone who hadn't looked at this stuff in years since high school, competing against AP guys who just came straight out of high school. These kids knew what a mitochondria was. I didn't have a clue what that thing was. I didn't do well my first semester. I literally, when I tell you I didn't go out or do it, I literally slaved for forever, every day, because I had to catch up. And if I didn't get a good grades, I wouldn't get into medical school, and certainly not a place like New York University, which right now is ranked number 2 in the United States, if you were to Google it. So I really, really worked very, very hard. And it kind of caught up. My first semesters were a disaster. I never thought I would get into medical school. But ready for this, when I applied, my GPA was really good, but it wasn't the best. And when I applied, my test scores were really good, but they weren't the best. But you know what saved me was the fact that when they interviewed me, they looked at me, someone who had gone to the Olympics, someone who had started a business, someone who was trying to do things, and they gave me a shot. And so I can tell you for sure that my test grades weren't as good as most of the people in there, but they gave me a shot because of my prior success.
Wow. Oh man, that's crazy. And how long was med school for as well? That would have been a long time, right?
4 years for medical school, 3 years for residency. And if you tack it on to the 2 years of post-bac work, that's 9 years after college I spent training.
So were you doing this all on the side? What was your side hustle? Was it your diamond business or was it medical school?
Diamond business was the side hustle. And I was, in college, I coached ice skating. And in the early 2000s, you make good money coaching ice skating. I could go for a test session. I could make $5,000 in one weekend just coaching ice skating. So
crazy.
So I was coaching a lot. I was earning income, investing in the diamond business, saving up and pushing forward. But it's like the medical school was a huge, I would say, amazing, hard, crazy work. I would never recommend anyone doing this unless they're insane and want to live in a library 18 hours a day. But I'm glad it's fun. It was fun, but it was a lot.
Oh man, what a colorful story and an amazing story. More importantly, it's you're a punk as well, which makes it even more special. So at what point did you come across crypto for the first time?
Sure. So this is interesting, Maxwell. I was actually mining Bitcoin on my hardcore back then gaming computer in, I think it was like 2013. But it was worth nothing, and I didn't think anything of it. Okay. And so what happened is when I moved to New York, sorry, it's like 2012 actually. When I had finished moving from New York to Chicago, I had the computer with some Bitcoin on it, and I was switching to Mac. So I switched all the files over to Mac, and I was not thinking about anything Bitcoin related. I actually didn't even pay attention to it, and I literally tossed the computer, like I tossed it. And so that was my first time being into it, but I didn't think anything.
Do you think you had much Bitcoin on there?
I didn't have a lot. I had like 5. I don't want to say 5 is a lot now, but I mean,
Yeah, it is a lot.
5 is a lot. 5 is a lot of Bitcoin, but you got to realize back then 5 wasn't anything. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's funny. My friends are just telling me how it goes. And back then you could do it on a nice computer. It didn't take a whole server, a whole rack setup to do it. So, I tossed it, and that was my first experience. And then I realized what I had done in 2016, 2017. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And so I kind of got interested in it again, and I bought a couple ETH, not a lot, but I should really say that I really first got into crypto buying and investing into this seriously in 2020 during the pandemic when most people were getting into it. And I saw the value of the blockchain. I bought into HBAR. I thought it was cool. I bought Ethereum. I bought some Bitcoin, and I've held it all, and I just keep dollar cost averaging into it. And that's really my kind of start into crypto, as sad or exciting as it is.
But I mean, regardless, I think you were super curious and super early, and I think that's quite reminiscent of most punks in the space as well, right? So I think it's not too different, which is a good thing. What about your first NFT? Like, how did you get into NFTs?
Sure. So my first big NFT was actually Hape, Hate Beast. And I had heard of the Bored Apes and I thought it was cool. And then Hape I thought was like a 3D version of it. So I literally I bought in when ETH was like $4,000, and I think ETH was $3,000, and I paid 4 ETH for my Hape. And so it was like 12 grand I paid for my Hape, which I still have to this day. I've flipped it around in a couple wallets, but I still have my Hape, and I love my Hape. And I met Digi in person in Miami. I think he's actually a great human, and that made me like to keep his Hape. And he bought me drinks for 5 days in a row after he knew how much the Hape had gone down. So he did. Digi paid. He was paying me back for what the 12 grand negative in Hape, and I don't mind. I'm not, but it was my first, and it was so hyped, and it was so cool. And I saw that video. I was like, this is just awesome. And that's what got me into NFTs.
I remember that there was a lot of hype around it. I mean, admittedly, I was trying to grind to a whitelist, and I just couldn't get in. Sounds like a fair trade. Just
Yeah.
A pint of beer for the 12 ETH.
Right, exactly. Yeah, man. I'm like, he's got me for a lifetime. I told him.
Nice. And so, what was your journey into CryptoPunks from there? Like, how did you navigate your way through eventually into a CryptoPunk?
Yeah. So what happened is along the way, I bought into a lot of collections across a lot of wallets. And I mean, it's like, if you heard of it, I probably bought into it. And I was buying this, buying that, enjoying communities, everything from Alien Friends, the Pudgy Penguins, and you name it. I was there. I was buying it. I had a beautiful mutant. I ended up selling the mutant because I sold it at a decent spot, not at the peak, but I sold it at not a great spot, but not at the lows either. I just thought it went up a lot, and I just was thinking, I don't know if it's going to crash and go to zero. And so I was kind of bouncing around a lot of projects, a lot of communities, getting excited, appreciating the art, appreciating what people were. And then I said, you know what? I really want a punk. And I was watching punks. And when I first saw the punks and I wanted one, it was like the floor price was like $500,000, right? I'm like, okay, I'm not paying $500,000 for a punk. So I watched it patiently. And I bought my first punk, 8457, which I had called my Irish punk, on August 21st. And I paid I think the US dollar equivalent of like $114,000 for it. And I consider that a very good deal because it had previously been sold for over $400,000. So I saw it come down, and I was very excited, because you could see all the history of it kind of flying through there. And I love that punk very much. And then fast forwarding to the Maki Big Brother kind of debacle and the huge pump going up, I wrapped it and I sold it at a big profit because I wanted to trade into a different punk. I really wanted a gold chain punk, but for a while it was hard to get a gold chain punk at a good price. So what I did is I did the whole blur farming bit. Yes, I did it. And I flipped punks, a whole bunch of them. And I earned 1,000 blur points. I have no clue what that's going to be worth, to be honest with you. I have no clue. But I had my eye set on this beautiful punk. I have now this gold chain punk. It's what I really wanted. I saw it listed, and the person, I don't know if it's a guy, but I'm assuming who listed it was listing it at that price to get bidding, not bidding, but listing points. You could get listing points because it was a really good price. So I picked it up for 72 ETH, and now it's mine, and I'm a very happy punk camper. No matter what I do, I'm always going to have a punk. So
Yeah. Is a cool one, but maybe just go back a little bit to 8457. What sort of drove you to buy this guy? I mean, he's got, so just so everybody knows, frumpy hair, normal beard, and clown green eyes.
well, I'm half Irish. And so that heritage drew me. I'm like, this guy looks like an Irish guy. I really like him. He looks like an Irish guy. He looks like an Irishman. So I thought it was so cool. I liked it. And then I couldn't help my punk desire to have a gold chain one. So, and I may pick him back again in the future. It's funny. I just want to say, I hope that the punk's floor drops enough that I can buy plenty more, my wife one, my daughter one. I mean, because I'm a believer in the long-term value of this. So the price doesn't worry me. I just want to make sure that if it drops, I'm there ready to buy more. So
Yeah, same. I don't think you can get enough punks, but I'm assuming you wanted the gold chain because it's a reference to your diamond business.
yes. Yes. So I wanted the gold chain as a reference, and I wanted a specific one, and this one wasn't available. When you look at punks, you kind of have something that makes you attracted to it. And I don't know why, but I always kind of like a beard. I don't know why. I always like a beard, a front beard, or any type of beard. I don't have one, but I just think it's cool on a punk. So.
Yeah. The other punk that's got a gold chain that's quite big is Jay-Z, right?
Yes.
And it's pretty rare as well. So I think there's like 169 in the collection. Yeah, that's super cool.
It is really cool. And I will tell you what, I do have a gold chain forever punk that I have my eyes on. And I'm never going to tell anyone until I get it one day. And the reason is because if someone knows what you want, they can make the price a lot more painful. So you kind of got, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the rule, right? You have to fill and then chill.
Right, exactly.
No, it's a super cool punk, and definitely signals Dr. Diamond for sure in the space. And I mean, like, what does sort of punks represent for you? I mean, like, why did you feel like there was a need for you to get a punk, and that it is also your profile picture identity in the space as well?
Sure. It's interesting because to me, I value how do I word this right? It's the first, and I feel like in the future, people are going to look back and appreciate the first of its kind. Very much like someone would buy a $12 million baseball card or an antique for $27 million. That's, an antique from Russia. I mean, that actually sold for 27 million. It's the first of its kind. It's something that is literally creating a legacy and inspired an entire movement. So the same rallying cry that everyone else who's in the punk community kind of circles around is what really brought me in. And aside from that part, which is just cool on its own, and I do dig the pixel art, I have to tell you, having been in a ton of communities, and I mean a ton of communities, if you can name the NFT, and I've been in that community, I love the punks the most. I value what they bring to the table as far as I feel like they're mostly very professional, mostly very positive, mostly very worldly. And I'm not saying that other communities don't have those features, but the percentage of people within the punk community that are, say, more serious about certain things to me drew me in because I consider myself a fun but serious guy.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And when you're sort of describing it like that, I sort of do see that in the sense of feels like punks are a little bit more of a mature demographic than say some of the other ones as well. I mean, we're still immature, right? We still degen and shitpost as well, but yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's neat. And the Arnault is a punk as well, as you probably know.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
it's cool. I definitely dig. And by the way, it looks great. I think it's the best looking PFP, especially for because you can see what it is. Sometimes you have so many features on an NFT, you got to zoom in. You don't know what it is, but it's very clear what a punk is when you're looking at it.
Yeah, it's simple. Well, just out of curiosity, what do you think of the Tiffany's drop that Arnold did?
I think it's fantastic. I am so, anytime someone can do something great for the space, not just the NFT space, but for the jewelry space, it helps all of us. Because I've made some NFT pieces for people as well, inspired by what Tiffany has done, and so they've been a fantastic leader. They put out a great quality product. Their customer service is hands down. When I have the people who work for me in jewelry aspire to be that good. You walk into a Tiffany, can I help you with a bottle of water? Would you like champagne? What can I do for you? They'll escort you out after you buy something. The experience is A plus. The way they package things is A plus. The branding's A plus. The quality is A plus. And I'm so happy that they put out an A plus quality punk pendant. I mean, it's beautiful.
Nice. Did you get one or?
No, I made one for myself.
Makes a lot of sense.
I did. I made one for myself. So,
are you wearing that to work every day or
I wear
special occasions?
I will wear it on special occasions. I wore it to Miami for Art Basel this past year, and everybody loved it. And what I did is this: I made how they have enamel on the Tiffany one. I made every single square in mine was a diamond. So it was really extraordinary, and I'm going to make more. I want to make myself another one, but it's just something. If I can do it, I would do it again and again. And I love making jewelry. It's beautiful, and it's a little different. I didn't want to copy Tiffany, but I love what they did as well.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. And I'm just having a look at your website now. So when I go to the charlesjewelry.com website, it looks like it's mostly predominantly for engagement and weddings and those types of occasions. But then you've got this other section on NFT collections.
Yes.
Swanky Space Squad and NFT crown jewels. Can you talk a little bit about that? What that is?
Sure. Yeah. So you're right. Exactly. Most of our website is engagement, wedding bands, necklaces, earrings, bracelets, custom jewelry, all that stuff. And then I put my little degen on my little company NFT collection on the drop down. Keep in mind, you got to realize people in my company think I'm crazy, right? They're like, what? You're doing what? So to start off with, we have NFTcrownjewels.com, which is a subsidiary of this Charles Jewelry. We basically turn your NFT into any jewelry. You can make cufflinks. I mean, you name it, pendant, whatever. It's whatever you want. We'll make it into a piece of jewelry if you love your NFT and you want to do that. And then Swanky Space Squad was a personal pet project of mine that has 333 NFT only. So it's like there's only 333 NFTs. And if you were to look, you'll see there's only maybe, I don't know, it's like 1% is listed or something. It's very, very low listing. But what you do is if you end up owning a 333 NFT Swanky Space Squad, you get airdropped or you can claim as well a digital access certificate, a DAC. So if you go to the website and you look there under claim, you can see there's a rotating gold and diamond heart. That digital access certificate is also on OpenSea. And what that gives you access to is jewelry at manufacturing pricing. That is pre-wholesale. That is pre-retail. That is manufacturing pricing.
That's awesome. There's some alpha there. I might have to go sweep some floors after this call. That's super cool, man. And love the fact that you're incorporating NFT culture into the real world too. This might be a new way of onboarding some of these guys. Definitely take a look into that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's fun. It is fun.
Whilst we're on this topic of punks and a little bit more about traits and things like that, if money wasn't an issue, what punk would you pick?
I can't tell you that because it's the punk I'm going after. But it is one of the gold chain ones, so I'll give you that one. It's actually hard to get a hold. I got to be honest with you. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of people. I've pinged this person multiple ways. It's hard to do that, but I'm hopeful I will eventually. And they don't live in the United States, so I may have to fly somewhere to negotiate a deal. But it is something I do want to do. My ideal punk is a gold chain punk. If I don't want to lie to you, so I'm not going to give you some other punk, but I can't tell you who my perfect is because someone listening to this might end up knowing, and then I'm screwed with the price.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's cool by the fact that, it's still relatively attainable. I think most people always sort of go for like the ape or the alien or
yeah, no,
else, right?
no, no, it's not.
Which is cool.
Yeah, no, exactly. My ideal punk is not. It's something that my ideal punk to me would be something I could use literally as my PFP and just have the average person kind of say, "Oh, I get it." You know what I mean? And the gold chain with a reasonable, a human would go a long way. If I do I think the apes are super cool, but I think it just, it's not me. It's not me.
Yeah, gotcha. And so how are you navigating these markets lately?
So it's interesting. I am such a stacker of ETH. I love ETH and I love Bitcoin. I think those two are going to be really just truly the future. And the older generation doesn't get it. I mean, I'm a Generation X guy, so I'm a little after I'm kind of sandwiched in there, but I get it. I really think I just keep dollar cost averaging. Every time something takes a hit, I'll buy it. I don't sell it. I just kind of sit on it. Sometimes I'll buy NFTs with it. That's fine. But I sit on stuff. I don't sell a lot. I just kind of buy and accumulate. And most of my NFTs have just gone down. I mean, my bags are heavy. I am not profitable when it comes to NFT trading. I have lost a fair amount, and I'm okay with that because honestly, everything I put into this, I manage my portfolio where most of everything's not in NFTs or crypto; it's in stocks, and I'm very successful at beating the S&P 500 over the last decade. Very disciplined in my trading there, so I do that to make money, but then I degen and I play all these meme coins and stuff for fun. To me, this is the casino, but my punk is serious. It's something I love. My punk isn't about money, and the punk I hope to be able to get would not be about money either. I hope I can pass it down to my kids, so.
So with your NFT collections, are you buying stuff out of profile pictures? Do you collect art and the like as well?
There's an artist named Mart Beemans. I don't know if you know him, but he's got a lot of nice one-on-ones. He's someone I kind of befriended as well a year ago. I really like his art. If I see a piece I really like, I'll pick it up, a one of one. It doesn't have to be, say, like out of a collection, So the one of ones are fine. And I don't know if you know Cyrus James Khan. He's out of the Middle East. He's fantastic as well, and he does beautiful pieces. So there's people that I buy from that aren't famous people, and their NFTs aren't terribly expensive, but they're not also cheap. But I really like what they do. So if I see something I like, I'll absolutely pick it up.
Gotcha. Nice. If you were to look back at your NFT career to date, do you have any, wins or losses worth mentioning?
Because everything I bought basically is down a lot. I think, I don't, it's funny. When I say wins, I don't consider it to be financial wins because it's been basically a hole financially, but nothing that's not manageable. But I don't have any real wins. Like I don't have any great trades. I would say, oh, wow, look at me. I made money off of this. It's actually never the purpose. In fact, I bought a ton of lumens. I love lumens. I don't know if you've ever seen the lumens collection. Have you seen them?
No. What's that?
I have like a lumens addiction. I bought 108 lumens. They're really great. They're cool. They're like neon light faces and heads and bodies. And then they're working on making them dance to the music and nightclubs and stuff. It's just a really neat project. So I buy those. I buy them and they're probably going to just be zero, but that's okay. I keep buying them, and they're fun, and I put them on my Apple Watch. So to answer your question, financially, I'm pretty much nothing to brag about. There's nothing to brag about for wins, plenty of financial losses, but I don't look at it like that. I look at it like it's a win for the community, and I made a lot of friends. So how do I put a price on that?
That's an absolute win. That's a big win. So I hear you. Cool. Who's your favorite punk in the punk community, do you think?
Oh, wow. That is so hard. I have to tell you okay. So my favorite punk is Dr. Crypto. Okay. You know, Dr. Crypto.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the public knows about him or doesn't, so I'm not dox too much, but I've hung out with him. We talk on the phone all the time. As you know, he is a real doctor, and he's just a cool guy. And you know, his kid did really well in school, and he's proud, and we'll message each other, and we really vibe really well. And because we're both physicians, we kind of get along great. And so to me, we're very much on the same page, and we may end up working on a project together potentially about artificial intelligence and medicine. We're just at the tippy top of any discussions, but he's someone that is my type of guy because he's not an uptight doctor. He's kind of chill, and I view myself kind of like, you know, get along with people like that. So Dr. Crypto's got my number one vote.
Awesome. No, Dr. Crypto is a cool dude. I've been meaning to catch up with him too lately as well. He's been doing some pretty cool stuff with, I think it's with Punk's Club as well. So
yes. And I met him for the first time, Punk's Club meetup in Art Basel last year, for the first time in person, even though we had talked plenty before then.
Yeah, lovely. Good choice. And if you had to describe punk culture in a few words, how would you describe that for you?
Boy, I would say, you know what, the number one thing I have to give it to people in the punks in a few words, I would say ambitious, enthusiastic creativity is kind of what I would call punks. Ambitious, enthusiastic creativity, because people I know in punks, their vision is a great vision. They look out past the horizon, past any short ups and downs, and if they're really building, they're in it for the long haul, and they're enthusiastic about it, and they get the community enthusiastic about it. How many punks support punks? And that's really neat. And then they're creative with what they're doing. I mean, they're literally creating, you name it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of projects. You go in Punk's Club and you see all these cool projects. And I love that there's not a lot of, I don't know one punk scammer that I can think of, really. And I don't, and there may be, and I don't want to call it.
I could probably name a few.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I take it back a little bit. But as a majority, I know I can too. But as a majority, it's a really great culture. And those words really, I think, summarize to me what punks mean.
Absolutely. Well said. On that context, then, how do you feel about V1 punks?
I mean, I get their storyline. I get it, and I respect it. I don't have anything against it. I don't own a V1 punk. I feel like it's as if I made a ring for someone, and I botched up the ring, and they said, "Hey, man, this prong's off. It's crooked. Can you fix it?" And I say, "Sure." And I kind of melt down the ring again, and I remake it, and I fix it, and I give it to them. Well, their engagement ring is that. The original engagement ring is the one I just fixed. It's not the one with the crooked prong. So that's kind of that's how I view it. People may completely disagree with me.
So. No, that's fair. No, everyone's got their own opinion, but it's just a fascinating part of punk history and culture.
It is. I don't think it's great that, I mean, I'm glad we're not known as V2 punks. I had to say that.
Absolutely. Although there have been a few people to call us the V2s, but
right, exactly. It's like there's V1s and crypto punks, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you feel about the Yuga acquisition of punks?
I think they've done a fine job so far by not mucking it up. So if they can just let it ride and let the punks be the punks, let the art be the art, and don't get gimmicky with it, I think everything will be fine. My biggest fear is that they would try to pull it in and do a lot of stuff that may detract from what the punks' original concept was, which is very simple. So I'm proud of Yuga for respecting that. And I'm fine with the acquisition. I think it's great. It certainly brings it on the umbrella of a strong brand. So for that reason, I'm really glad they did it.
Nice. And if you could pass on a message to the next owner of Punk 6283, what would you like to say to them?
I would say this punk comes to you with a lot of love, and someone who, in the beginning, when my business was failing, wasn't sure if I would ever be able to even afford a punk. But, so follow your dreams, future punk. And if you're young, you can't make any mistakes in your 20s that your 30s can't make up for. So be aggressive in your 20s, take the risks, because when you get to your 30s, it gets harder and harder. So be that aggressive, stupid 22-year-old, whatever you got to do to get your dream business started, go after it.
Amazing. Dr. Diamond, what an amazing and colorful story you've had. And thank you so much for the privilege of interviewing our first Olympian punk on the show.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you. And look, I'd love to sort of catch up with you when the time sort of presents itself, if you're ever here in Asia or otherwise. But any sort of final closing comments from your side, and how can people find you?
Twitter is an easy way, and I do my best to do as many DMs as I can. It's at Dr. Charles Butler on Twitter is easy. You can also, if you end up going to my jewelry website, you can hit the contact us form and just say, hey, I'm a punk fan, and they know, they'll forward you to me. So Twitter is probably the best way to get me quick. And, I think as a final message to kind of say, I would just say, I am so excited about where this space is going to go. I hope that, much like there were scams during the .com boom and bust, that we can kind of filter out the scammers and the stealers and the thieves and get more secure wallets, because it's going to be very hard to onboard a lot of what people call normies or laymen into this industry when they're at such high risk of losing so much, so fast, so easily. So my last message is, I hope we can do better taking care of our community's security and getting rid of the scammers, so we can all move forward and do what the blockchain and NFTs are capable of, and building a better future together. Well
said, Dr. Butler. And hopefully punks can sort of lead most of that for Web3, and the normies to sort of come in. And I sort of feel like that's sort of happening, which is a positive thing.
Absolutely. And I'm there for it. And I'll be right by your side, Maxwell.
I appreciate it. Guys, that wraps up another episode of PunkCast for the week. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back next week with another punk. Bye for now.